think it would be fair to say that the Doctor Who B&M exclusive line of 2020 action figures is ending out on a high, with a re-release of two characters that a lot of Doctor Who action figure collectors have wanted to see re-releases of for quite some time. As in today's review, I am of course going to be taking a look at the Coal Hill action figure collector set, featuring a re-release of the Imperial Dalek from Remembrance of the Daleks, alongside Sophie Aldred as Ace, complete with rocket launcher, which was of course originally a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive way back in 2013. This set is available to be purchased now from B&M stores throughout the UK. The recommended retail price was originally £19.99, however I do believe at the current time of filming has in fact now been reduced to around £12, which is an absolute bargain, and I know we're only a few seconds into this review, but yes, it's worth it for that much. It's worth it for 20, of course it is. It's got a white and gold Dalek, why would you not want that in your life? Before we get the figures out of the box, let's take a look at the packaging. It is of course a usual style guide that we've got used to seeing over the past few years. We have a rather nice window giving a good look at the figures on the inside of the box. At the very bottom, we get the inclusion of the limited edition sticker, as well as stating that this is the Coal Hill School Collector figure set from Remembrance of the Daleks. Get the stacked variation of the Doctor Who logo, as well as a simplistic TARDIS graphic. As for the rest of the packaging, of course we've seen this design many times already. Company information at the bottom, TARDIS graphic at the side, and the Doctor Who logo at the very top. Flipping around to the back, once again we get a few details repeated, as well as the title of the set and the Doctor Who logo. But we also get two further images of both of the action figures unboxed. Now, due to this figure set being aimed at the collectors, we also finish off with a little bit of a story synopsis about Remembrance of the Daleks, as well as discussing the Daleks that we see throughout this story. It's almost an extension set to the B&M exclusive History of the Daleks series. Upon opening the box, we are also greeted by this rather lovely diorama of Coal Hill School, seen at several points throughout the story of Remembrance of the Daleks, including a few references here and there, including of course a cellar door that is used throughout the story where the Daleks teleport into Earth. I absolutely love Remembrance as a story, so naturally this is a great little inclusion. Both of these figures are considerably popular. Ace was a very popular figure back in the day, regardless of the fact that it did have quite a number of flaws. Of course, it came with a plethora of accessories, some of which have been included within this set, however some of them have been left absent. And then we have an Imperial Dalek in there as well, which once again does have a number of changes to that of the original version. However, there's not really too much in it. I certainly don't think that if you have this version, you're missing out on anything by not having the original one. Of course, there's a few paint application differences, as well as a retool in there as well, in particular around the midsection, but it looks lovely. It's a lovely set, and to be honest, if you're a fan of the story, this is certainly something that I recommend buying. In fact, I even go as far to say, why only purchase one of this set when you could maybe even purchase two? Then you can have multiple white and gold Daleks to add to your shelf, and then eventually build up an army. I must admit, it is certainly worth it. We've been waiting for the re-release of this Dalek for quite a number of years by this point, so I recommend purchasing them whilst we can. I'm in fact thankful that this set features Ace and only one Dalek, as if it was the same format as the History of the Daleks set 1, where we got two identical Daleks. Quite frankly, I would be worried for my bank balance, because it would be absolutely perfect for army building, but a little bit too perfect. So yes, if you do buy multiple, you're going to have quite a number of Aces left over, but you'll probably find a use for them, or you can just put them on eBay, which I've noticed there has been a massive increase in Aces on eBay recently, most certainly due to the release of this set and people wanting as many white and gold Daleks as possible. Originally released in 2013 as a part of the Comic-Con series, this variant of Ace is no doubt a welcome re-release for many who missed out. But equally, what I love about this figure is that it's also a worthy purchase for those of us that have the original release, with character options updating the figure, improving upon mistakes. And that is where we start off this review. Back in 2013, I think that a lot of us fans were simply excited to see an Ace figure, and turned a blind eye to what is, looking back, a bloody appalling paint application. The paint is thick and losing the vast majority of the detail on the face. I would actually go as far to say that had this figure not been attached to a rather iconic costume, it would not be recognisable as Sophie Aldred. For some reason, the eyes have been reduced to rather rough dots of paint on the face that are for some reason looking up to the sky. It quite frankly looks like a toddler has painted it. Flash forward to 2020 and we have a good improvement. To start with, the skin shade is now much warmer and less pale looking, and the lips are a darker pink, giving an overall appearance of Ace looking less corpse-like. The eyes are actually looking in the right direction, with a sharp detailing on the eye whites as well as a brown iris in the centre. A thick black line is also present on the top, creating the appearance of eyelashes or eyeliner, and finally the brows have been painted in a manner which convey a little bit of personality, overall looking quite natural and certainly better compared to the original. The hair has been painted in a much lighter matte brown as opposed to the gloss finish of the original release, complete with the ponytail and yellow band at the back, which usually is hidden by the rucksack. The superb detailing continues onto the jacket, with all the Ace badges replicated with painstaking detail. This is in fact quite a surprise, as I thought this would be massively simplified for a B&M re-release. You could spend all day taking a look at all of the badges because there is quite a lot of them. However, I'm going to point out a few of my personal favourites. Of course, along the top here, we get the inclusion of the Blue Peter badges, which given the scale, the fact you can actually tell what they are meant to be is very impressive indeed. We even have the lettering of Ace Roofing on this little badge down here, which again, for the scale, is absolutely incredible. A little NASA badge and even a whistle there on a chain coming down to the side. It's one of those figures where each individual time you take it off the shelf, you kind of notice a new quirky little badge. Ping around to the back, of course, we get one of the most iconic parts of Ace's character, and it is of course Ace emblazoned there. It's been really nicely and crisply painted onto the back of the jacket with the giant A, and of course the C and the E coming off to the side there as well. In the middle, we get the inclusion of Ace's musical instrument themed t-shirt, including further crisp details. The outline of various instruments seem to now be in a much thicker black outline compared to the original having a thinner design. The jacket, t-shirt and tights are all accompanied by a great creased material effect, with a number of different finishes on the black parts of the costume, representing the multiple different types of material seen on the outfit. It would be a fair statement to say that all of the exciting stuff of this costume is from the waist upwards, of the badges, of the quirky t-shirt designs, because from the waist down it is all very, very black in colour. Of course, you get the inclusion of the skirt with a rather lovely pleated design on that, and then the legs have just been painted a regular black, and at the very bottom we get the inclusion of the shoes. These have been given a glossy black finish, which is lovely as it makes them stand out against the tights, and we have a series of details on this, including a few creases within the material to make them look worn, as well as the inclusion of laces. A welcome inclusion, no doubt for people who missed out on the original release, is the rucksack accessory. This can be removed from Ace's shoulders by sliding it off her arms. The detailing on this is pretty basic, including grey and black panels, however it certainly does the job. There is also a hole present at the top of the rucksack to represent where Ace's cricket bat once sat on the original release, however this time round is no longer included. Upon closer inspection, it does actually seem that this rucksack is made of an ever so slightly more flexible material compared to that of the original release. Yes, that is right. It's time to play a game of Spot the Difference. Overall, this one is much more firm in design. The original version of Ace had lots of accessories, and as a result, we had this little tab at the back, which you guessed it, and rather brilliantly, I still even have some Nitro 9 fixed on the inside of the case. It does make sense to not have this removable back panel, because essentially there's nothing to put inside. A rare occurrence within the B&M series is that we also have a second accessory, this time the rocket launcher, also released alongside the original version of Ace from Remembrance of the Daleks. The main body of this has a glossier finish compared to the original, with the additional brown and silver highlights on the handles. The end rocket is painted in a light green with a yellow band across the middle, and can rather excellently be removed to make it look like Ace has fired it against the Imperial Dalek fleet. What I absolutely love with the Ace action figure is the play value, because we have all of these accessories and all of these weapons that you can fight against the Daleks with, and the whole concept of Remembrance of the Daleks, having the two different fractions against each other, it has so much play value. And of course, in recent years, we have also seen re-releases of the 7th Doctor in his cream jacket, of course in the Silver Nemesis collector set, released in 2019. So if you manage to pick up that set, this will also be a great complement to that in order to have the 7th Doctor and Ace side by side. And of course, you guessed it, having the TARDIS team together once more makes for a perfect photo opportunity. I've been waiting quite a long time for this moment. Next up we have the re-release of the Imperial White and Gold Dalek, my personal favourite design, and most certainly a welcome re-release, as it since became one of the most sought after Dalek colour schemes in Doctor Who action figure history. Much like Ace, changes have been made to create differences from the original release, which is very welcome, although not necessarily screen accurate. But that said, the only way that this Dalek could be 100% screen accurate is a new sculpt entirely, and that ain't happening. Paint variation between the latest version of Imperial Dalek and the original version is in fact quite subtle. To the naked eye, and to those of you that collect Doctor Who action figures on occasion, there really isn't that much in it, and it's only kind of obsessive sad Doctor Who nerds like myself that kind of look more closely at these figures to actually see what is exactly different. However, from what I can tell, which might be quite hard to show on camera, is it does seem to be an ever so slightly different shade of cream has been used on the Dalek overall. Seem to be an ever so slightly more vibrant white compared to the yellowish tint that this Dalek appears to have. Then, as for the gold sections, much like a history of the Daleks collector sets with its silver shiny paint application, the gold that has been applied to this Imperial Dalek is almost metallic in design, having a lovely sheen across its finish. This stands out beautifully on the cream base. The bottom fender is the usual design for 80s Daleks, split into two sections. Due to the colour scheme present and the cream base in particular, once again I do highly recommend going into store and scrutinising the set prior to purchase in order to avoid paint leak disappointment. Moving further up the Dalek to the midsection, we have the use of the 50th anniversary retooled slat design made for the Remembrance Renegade, a sculpt unique to this story alone. In between the golden slats, which again have been painted in a rather precise and sharp paint application, we have a subtle mesh texture. Of course, within the actual TV show itself, the Imperial Daleks did not have mesh. It was simply a band running around the middle with the occasional rectangle here and there. This is certainly something that is represented on the original Imperial Dalek action figure, as we do have this blank section in between, with of course this white paint application certainly standing out from the cream underneath on the main base colour of the Dalek itself. And of course a few people may argue this is inaccurate, but all you need to do is simply look at an image of an Imperial Dalek online, and the first thing that you will notice is that the Imperial Daleks within the TV show were very, very different to what we have here anyway. The entire proportions of the Dalek were entirely different, therefore it doesn't really matter if we have a little bit of mesh where it is not meant to be. If anything, because we don't have any paint application over the top of it, it really doesn't stand out. We have a very faint, subtle design in there, no wash, no silver grating or anything like that. It is simply a golden design, so to be honest I don't mind it, and if anything, it adds a little bit of texture. It makes it look a bit more exciting. Both the Dalek gun and the manipulator arm are also sculpted in a bronzy gold plastic, including the ball joints, which were darker on the original release. Between the manipulator arm and gun, there is also the inclusion of a hexagon shape. Of course, the Imperial Daleks are unique in many ways from a design perspective, and character options have attempted to kind of show some of that unique design with the manipulator arm, as we have this design that is only used on the Imperial Dalek, originally released as a part of the Forbidden Planet exclusive 4-pack. The original Imperial Dalek that was packaged alongside Sylvester McCoy was kind of this odd concoction of a regular Dalek plunger, but with these little edges taken out of the side to kind of look ever so slightly like the Dalek from Remembrance of the Daleks. This time round, we have the reuse of the 4-pack version, which is kind of more triangular design of manipulator arm. Again, we have those little edges taken out of the side, but something to note is that for some reason the material or plastic that has been used to create the weaponry does seem to be very, very flexible, so do be warned. I imagine this will snap if you force it or break it or bend it too much, so don't do any of those things because you don't want a snapped manipulator arm, because that's not very good. The barrel section continues the superbly 80s colour scheme design, divided into gold and cream segments. Above all, one of the main things that I'm really happy to see with the Coal Hill Collector set is that the paint application and overall errors do seem to be quite minimal, as on the previous Remembrance of the Daleks collector sets, including the Imperial Dalek released alongside the 7th Doctor, as well as the Remembrance of the Daleks 4-pack, both of those sets seem almost haunted by paint application mishaps and general quality control errors, and I'm happy to see that doesn't seem to be the case for this collector set. Imperial Dalek sports his own special dome lights because, let's face it, he's cool like that. These are a much flatter, clear plastic design, complete with a gold paint application finish. And finally, we have the iris. This time it has been painted black, unlike the original blue design, both inaccurate to what is seen within the story itself. However, I don't mind too much because it actually works really well. Giving you a rather brief history of Imperial Dalek eye stalks on Doctor Who action figures, because let's face it, that is the quality content that you subscribe to this channel for. Here we have the original Imperial Dalek, and the proportions are entirely wrong. It is the normal length Dalek eye stalk, so as a result it is unusually long. Next up we have the collector set version, which was of course released alongside 3 other Daleks. This time around they've acknowledged the fact that it is meant to be shorter, so it is of course very clearly a more stumpy design. We have the inclusion of the blue pupil in the very middle. To be honest, it works well. I was happy with it. And then we of course have the B&M 2020 release, which in fact uses the Necros Dalek, Revelation of the Daleks Dalek, 80s design of eye stalk. Therefore we have an ever so slightly bigger end cap, as well as a few further discs in there as well. And of course the black iris. Again, as I mentioned before, not 100% accurate. I don't really mind too much. It just looks cool. I think it looks alright. I'm happy with it. So there we go, there we have it, the Imperial Daleks. It is brilliant to be able to finally have the opportunity to army build these Dalek variants finally. We end off on a comparison to, I can't wait to hopefully expand this in the future. I do wonder when we get to History of the Daleks set, whatever it will be, as a part of the B&M series when it covers Remembrance of the Daleks, it would be quite cool if they in fact did 2 2-packs for that story, one of which is a Renegade 2-pack and the other is an Imperial one. And I imagine the Imperial one will no doubt feature this Dalek again, maybe ever so slightly different, and probably the Special Weapons Dalek released again, because that is yet another Dalek that is very, very fought after. And with that, that does of course conclude my review of the Doctor Who B&M exclusive 2020 Cull Hill Collector figure set, featuring Ace as portrayed by Sophie Aldred, and an Imperial Dalek from the 7th Doctor 1988 story Remembrance of the Daleks, one of my personal favourite Doctor Who stories of all time, and a wonderful set to go with it. I think this is a very easy yes, definitely go out and buy it. If you are a classic Doctor Who action figure fan, this is a must for you. I would dare say an essential purchase, because we have an absolutely excellent version of Dalek, and a rather unique Dalek I think in its own right, because stand out on the shelf next to all the other classic series Daleks that have been released. And it's lovely to have a Dalek that isn't silver and blue after having so many as a part of the B&M range over the past few months, and equally Ace as well. What I like is this figure could have very, very, very easily been a dull re-release of the one that we got many years ago and have seen multiple variants of since. Our options have gone and adapted. They've gone and gave it a better likeness. They've painted it much different and much more precise, and overall as a result it is a much better figure. The badge detailing is as excellent as ever, the t-shirt detailing is very sharp, and it is great to see that this figure also comes with a number of accessories as well, which is a rarity for the B&M series. And so yes, an excellent set, and I highly recommend it. Fully recommended retail price, and if you can get it for even cheaper, then excellent. Buy more, buy multiple, treat yourself. So thank you very much for watching this review. I really hope you have enjoyed it. Do of course stay tuned on the Host Productions for brand new Doctor Who content each and every week. And on that note, I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.